Here, we find a small frog in its natural habitat. Unsure of what will follow, he begins his journey into the unknown. Leaving home is no small task. But this frog is ambitious. He begins his journey on a rocky path. Eventually, he makes it to civilization. Here, he will study to become a scientist. Here he is seen here, enjoying the student life. Here we witness Mr. Frog, socializing with fellow frogs. A proud group of academics. Our friend falls in love with a fellow student. Soon, he will develop into a grown adult frog. And as this occurs, he will now need to find a job. Eventually, he finds his passion. A fly hunter it is. And he does not disappoint. He is a hunter at heart. What a bountiful pile of flies. Such a successful hunter he is. Suddenly, tragedy struck. The Great Frog War of 2024. Here, he can be seen honing his skills. And inevitably, the war began. The battles were devastating. There was no room for empathy. Frog bodies littered the battlefield. But as quickly as this conflict began, the Great Frog War came to a conclusion. A time of great prosperity. Frog society flourished. And soon began the Great Frog Space Race. Inevitably, frogs would come to dominate the universe. Thanks to becoming free from the constraints of gravity, the frog's potential became limitless. And that was until the courts ruled against frog independence. They fought hard, but unfortunately lost the battle for freedom. And so began a time of great change. Frogs would build a new society. A frog empire was born. This new empire would have a rough upcoming, oddly similar to any other great nation. And so came the frog civil rights movement. Middle-class frogs rallied for change. All the while, the rich and wealthy frogs enjoyed their vast fortunes. This time in frog history was unfortunate, to say the least. Frog factions formed with gangs and politicians battling for power. The frog underworld grew with an inevitable civil war, becoming more and more likely. And so it began. The Second Great Frog War. The loss of frog life was catastrophic. But as soon as the war started, it came to a peaceful conclusion. What came next was a great period of prosperity. The Great Frog Empire was once again whole. Culture flourished. With no sign of a future conflict, the frogs turned their focus inward to the systematic issues found lurking in frog laws and regulations. What came next was inevitable, a new and improved frog civil rights movement. Although it started peaceful, this movement would quickly shift into a more destructive route. Eventually, the politicians would buckle and frog society would shift into a new era. Frog hippies would emerge from all corners of their great empire. During this time, frog science would reach new heights. Soon, frogs would find themselves on the forefront of technological innovation. And so began the Great Expanse. Frogs would travel the universe to learn the secrets to life and existence as a whole. After frog society claimed new stars, frogs began to ponder existence and soon engaged in psychedelic activities. Some frogs would find inner peace returning to life before civilization. Many of these free minds would fade into nature and never return. Eventually, frog society would collapse. Frogs returned to nature in mass. Here we see frogs enjoying the swift transition to a pre-industrial world. Frogs would go on to find solace. Frogs came to realize no cities could replace the comfort Mother Nature had provided for millennia. We now come to the end of our story. Frog society has faded away, becoming nothing more than history. Frogs are happier this way. I hope you all enjoyed this tale, and as always, hopefully, our own society can learn from the mistakes made in frog society. Or maybe not. They do look happier this way. Maybe we should all give Mother Nature a shot.